Hey guys, so instead of doing that bullshit transfer that I usually do, I thought I'd just go straight to the polls. This is on Real Clear Politics. Here are the numbers. They've significantly changed from where we were, so I thought I'd do another update. Perry's numbers, which used to be at 31%, are now at 27.2%, which is a significant change, and definitely shows him losing the new car smell that all candidates enjoy for like the first month with the media, as well as him performing poorly in the debates. Romney has picked up significantly, where he was in the teens, now he's in the 20s, which doesn't sound significant, but in polling, when you average it out, that is. Though he still has a 4-point deficit to make up from Perry. This is, of course, national. Anyway, I'll get to that eventually. Kane's numbers, Gingrich and Paul are all about the same. You know, they're all about 8%. Bachmann rounds off the bottom part of the, I guess we call it the second tier, at 6.4%. Her numbers have continued to drop, partially because she just hasn't been able to get media coverage that she used to enjoy since Perry's been in there, I think. Santorum and Huntsman, of course, are on the very bottom. They're in the third tier if we were going to break this into tiers. If you look at the map, you see why you break it into tiers. It just really kind of looks like that. I think that Perry's drop, of course, has contributed to the rise of Romney, or the resurrection of his polling. If you look at the lower numbers, or the candidates in the lower section, I'll zoom in a little bit. And if I zoom in too much, it gets kind of foggy, so zoom out a little bit. The green line is Gingrich, the red line is Kane, the black line is Bachmann, and the gold or yellow line is Paul. So, and then on the bottom is Santorum, which is kind of the more goldy color. I guess Ron Paul is yellow if we're including Santorum, and pink is Huntsman. So, if you look, you can clearly see that the bottom tier has, in general, picked up a few points. However, Paul is on a bit of a low. He's usually closer to 10% than 7% or 8%. And Kane and Gingrich are riding the wave of disillusionment with Perry to a higher number, which once again is about 8%, which doesn't sound significant, but for a while it looked like they were down and out. Kane, of course, won the Florida debate. There was some talk inside the Kane camp prior to that he would resign, quit the campaign, which was significant, and the fact that he won that has kept him in it, so we'll see if he makes any more ground up. Huntsman and Santorum, what to say about them? They've been crap basically throughout this. I kind of feel sorry for both of them. I should probably, anyway. I'm going to go to other news stories now, but primarily, just to reiterate, I think Perry lost the new car smell. That's partially why he lost some support. Also, he performed badly in the debates. I think the reason why the other candidates have picked up support is because of this. They had to go somewhere. Also, Romney did reasonably well. He did better than he used to in debates. Kane, of course, did excellent. Kane's always doing pretty good. Gingrich blamed the media. I've mentioned that. Republican crowds love that for whatever reason. And Paul, of course, has his loyal around 10%. Of course, now it's down to 7.8. So I guess they weren't as loyal as I made it out to be. But we'll see. Maybe Paul will break through. I think it's going to be interesting to see the next debate. The next debate's kind of critical if Perry wants to turn this around. If he has a strong showing, it can really make a difference. If he has a weak story, it just feeds into the same old storyline. Anyway, we'll see what happens. And finally, Bachmann needs some airtime. She's not going to get her candidacy back on track until she gets some real news. So she's got to make something happen. Anyway, let's move to a couple other stories. Sorry about moving the camera again. So what else is happening in the world? The big news that seemingly doesn't get reported on, of course, is Putin being nominated by his party to run for presidency. Mike Medvedev, I can never pronounce his name. The current president of Russia is stepping out of the way, so he should Putin should have easy track to the nomination. The Palestinians are, of course, currently pushing for a recognition of a state in the UN Assembly, or, in the UN, and they'll probably get partial recognition by the General Assembly. However, it's probably going to get vetoed by the United States in the Security Council. Also, Israel has started building in not Gaza, the West Bank, again, kind of as a reaction to the actions Palestine's taking. So we'll see what happens. Of course, this has, made a lot of people angry. This is prior to the vote. Everybody's kind of agreed that they should not be building houses in the West Bank. If there's going to be a two-state solution, they're of course doing that. So it's kind of pissed off some people internationally. Of course, this is diplomacy, so it's not exactly like you get angry, you take your baseball home. It's a little bit different than that. The other big news internationally is in Bolivia. There is a massive protest going on over a highway that was going to go from Brazil to Chile. They've temporarily stopped this project and are probably going to have a referendum. The reason why it's such a big deal is because the natives, I guess, or Aborigines, I don't know what they want to call themselves, to tell you the truth. If you listen to different channels, they call them different things. Anyway, the people that have been there for a long time are upset that they don't want the road, this highway, because they fear that it will change their culture, will lead to a bunch of people moving in. They don't want that. They want their area to kind of remain the way it is. So they pushed against the president and had this big protest marching towards the Capitol. What happened is, according to the president, he did not know this, but basically what happened is the police went and broke it up. Well, this started a bunch of other protests taking place all over the country, and it seems like the regime is in big trouble. Number of people in his cabinet, the president's cabinet, have resigned, and it definitely looks like his presidency is in deep trouble. Now, he was elected, and to many people, he was considered a socialist. I mean, or something of a child of Venezuela, some people said. I forget where I heard that. That's total bullshit, though. But, so it's kind of significant that this is occurring. We'll see what happens. It's an interesting story to watch. What else has happened? Of course, the big thing in America. Well, there's a couple big things. We'll start with the one that's on the streets, Wall Street to be precise, and that is the Occupy Wall Street movement, which I think is on its 11th day, probably 12th by the time I upload this. They were, holding these events. They continue to camp out there, and what ended up happening is a couple police officers ended up